What if I told you that the reason you think Western things are better than African things is because of economics? It isn't because of technology. It's because of a psychological weapon detonated in your mind over 100 years ago. We all know the phrase BOKO HARAM. We are told it translates to Western education is sin, but that is a mistranslation. In the original Hausa context, the word BOKO didn't originally mean book or education. It meant fake, it meant fraud, it meant deception. When the British arrived, the locals didn't reject education. They rejected the fraud that was being sold to them. They realized that to accept the British school was to accept that everything they already knew was garbage. This is the story of the epistemic atrocity. The day they didn't just steal the land, they stole the mind to conquer a people. You can't just beat them with guns. You have to make them believe they are inferior. You have to commit epistemicide, the murder of knowledge. Before 1900, northern Nigeria was not illiterate. They had a writing system called Ajami written in Arabic script. They had centuries of poetry, law, and history written down. When the British arrived, they didn't say, "Oh, you have your own writing. Cool." No. They declared that Ajami wasn't real writing. They declared that unless you could read the Roman script to B, C, you were illiterate. Think about the violence of that. Overnight, millions of intellectuals, scholars, and poets became illiterates simply because the colonizer changed the definition of literacy. They didn't teach us English to empower us. They taught us English to make our own languages feel useless. It wasn't just language. It was science. For thousands of years, Nigerians treated illnesses with roots, herbs, and psychiatric practices that worked. The British arrived and didn't test these medicines. They simply branded them Juju. They called it witchcraft. They criminalized the indigenous healers. But here is the explosive revelation. Today, Western pharmaceutical companies come to Africa to study those exact same roots and herbs to make modern drugs. They told us our science was fetish so they could sell us their aspirin. They told us our history was folklore so they could sell us their textbooks. Scholars like Toyin Falola call this the Hitwa Archives. We were forced to abandon our logic and adopt theirs. We were gaslit on a civilizational scale. This brings us back to BOKO. The fraud, the atrocity wasn't that they built schools. The atrocity was that the school was designed to alienate the child from the parent. If you did well in the colonial school, you began to look down on your village parents. You saw their clothes as dirty, their language as vernacular, their religion as pagan. The British created a class of Nigerians who hated Nigeria. That is the ultimate colonial victory. They didn't need to police us anymore. We started policing ourselves. We started mocking our own accents. We started bleaching our skin. We started valuing a London degree more than the knowledge of our elders. You think colonialism ended in 1960? Look around. Why do we measure intelligence by how well you speak the Queen's English? Why do we call our traditional worshippers evil but accept foreign religious structures without question? We are still living in the BOKO. We are still living in the fraud. The epistemic atrocity is that we are still looking for validation from the people who erased us. We are trying to buy back our dignity with the same currency they used to buy our ancestors. Reclaiming our history is unjust about knowing what happened in 1900. It is about realizing that you are undeveloped. You were interrupted. Your ancestors weren't stupid. They were silenced. It's time to stop believing the fraud. It's time to validate our own reality. If this video blew your mind, you know what to do. Share it. Let's decolonize the algorithm together.